Hey guys, welcome to our third weekly podcast for HashMP EU4. HashMP is a competitive Europa Universalis 4 group that plays with our own balance mod, with games running on Sundays and Wednesdays. Our most recent Sunday game just started, with the session 1 being quite eventful. And with me I have a couple of players from that game, Xaime and Lewis. And both these players have either played or are ongoing players in our Wednesday game as well. Just as a disclaimer, I won't be asking these players to reveal any Diplo or prior deals, especially since these games are ongoing and we wouldn't want to influence them. And as far as I'm aware, all technical issues should be resolved with any of the podcasts, but if you guys have any ideas for improving the podcasts or future topics, don't hesitate to let me know. So let's get into it. Alright, starting with the Sunday game, Xaime, you had a successful opener on Muscovy, avoiding the direct war with Uzbek and cleaning up Lithuania rather quickly. How did that initial war go, and what was the situation with Poland, and how did that impact your war?
Right, so essentially, I talked to Keith, who was playing Poland, and I basically told him, just let me kill Lithuania, give you these states, and then you can go kill HRE or something. You know, Uzbek, I don't know, he just kind of told me he wanted to chill, so I guess he was never really in it to fight. So essentially I was just waiting for Lithuania to fall over, and I had a plan which I was going to wait for my morale, but apparently he got his army size down to 3k. I'm not really sure what happened to Lithuania. Fought some AI, his country got sieged, and the next minute I'm told he has rebels all over his country. I go in, and it was extremely cursed. He did the classic, put a estate in every province, make them disloyal, then revoke every estate. So, yeah, I almost honestly could have lost that war. Later on, I ran out of manpower, my regiments were about 0. Half my country was sieged to rebels as well.
Yeah, I think he had like issues with Cossack Estate too, and he got decked by a coalition of AIs or something, or like independence war. So like there was a lot going on in that Lithuania that made it very hard to occupy efficiently.
Like hands down, if he was at full strength, no way could have beaten him. Well, maybe long term, but he could have easily gotten enough short-term gain to win a war.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he just got very unlucky. He was telling me he got a lot of bad events. And obviously the AI wars just completely drained his nation. So I guess that will lead to him eventually dying.
For sure. And Lewis, you're also playing in the Sunday game, right? You're on Hess.
Yes.
So I know you have the option to choose the Hanover formation as the Hess and the Wednesday game did, or you can stick with Hess ideas. Can you talk a little bit about like that idea choice? Have you decided yet, or have you decided on an idea build?
I went the wrong ideas. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
What ideas have you taken so far?
Quantity trade.
Quantity. You opened quantity. That seems a rare opener for HRE states at least. So why did you take it?
I misread the policy.
What did you think it did?
I just thought it was an admin policy instead of a mill policy.
Got you. And so now you're kind of locked.
And then I was gonna go admin third, so then I had one of each policy with that build.
But now you have 2 mills and a dip or something like that?
Yep. Now if I went admin, I'd have 2 mills. So I might just go innovative Pluto.
Alright. I mean, you can always drop that quantity, right?
Yeah, but it's not like that bad that I should drop it.
Gotcha. Did you decide on the choice of you doing Hanover or Hess national ideas?
I'm probably just gonna go Hess.
Yeah, just stay with the standard HRE build.
No one in this HRE is eating any land, so I would just get coalition by AI.
I mean, it doesn't look like there's a ton of AI left. It looks like there's maybe 10. Like there's a few, but
there's like 6 or 7 right above Joker.
I think
And
you could.
none of those are his vassals.
You could truce chain them.
There's 8 above Joker. And
Wait,
then,
why are there so many there?
Because Fish told him he couldn't eat anything. So now no one in nature can expand.
Yeah. So, I mean, I suppose both of you guys can comment on this because you're playing near it, but how do you feel about the recent changes to the mod in Eastern Europe, the removal of a lot of Poland RNG? Do you think it had any impact on openers, Diplo? Do you think it had like a positive impact on the game? Lewis or Xaime?
Yeah.
I think it's still just coming down to the player. End of the day, Poland can be stronger, but if you run it down, yeah.
It made Poland like 8% stronger. I think they're like 8% stronger now, but that doesn't really matter if the player's bad.
Well, they can't go orthodox anymore, Poland. So I think they're actually a lot weaker in terms of their ability to dev and just kind of AFK and wait for someone to die around.
Right. I mean, they can still go Protestant or Reformed.
Yeah, they get half the dev cost, but they don't scale as well. They have less scaling.
Gotcha.
It's also less manpower as well. They lose out on that 25% if they max out.
So maybe it's forcing them to do a little bit of a more aggressive play. But then you get what happened.
I'm not sure if they can be more aggressive, honestly. Because if they go into Hungary or Lithuania, then Austria and Brandenburg or Sweden can just come in and attack them from.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to go aggressive.
Alright. Well,
They're just better early game, but worse late game now. That's what the changes did.
That's fair. And just so that we can move to the Wednesday game, I just wanted to start off and get this out of the way. But Xaime, you started on Castile, and it looked like you had a promising start. Session 1, you were up to like 50 income. You had Morocco killed. Like you had a pretty good opener, and then in the space of like 10 years, you just completely got obliterated. What happened there, Diplo-wise, mechanically? Like why was that collapse so sudden?
Diplo-wise, I guess there's more I should have done, definitely, because I was not really in position for me to get greedy, but I did, and that resulted in France, England, and Tunis all allying and declaring on me, which if I was up to date on tech, well, if I was able to take tech ahead of time, I would have won, definitely. But I could not, so they were able to brute force their way into Iberia. I surrendered. France got Aragon and Navarra.
And that was because of the transfer subject, right?
Yeah, so that was from the age bonus that France had taken for that war. I wasn't really dead from that war. I came back after truce, and I spent, I think it was 25 years fighting in a single.
Yeah, you had like 90 foursome, I remember looking, because you had.
Oh yeah.
You had colonies up.
I was very strong, and I started the war about 20 over force limit as well, so I had 100. So there was a real chance of coming back, definitely, but after 25 years, kind of, and it was session end, I just ended up truce breaking, because to be honest, I was kind of done at that point. The killing blow for me was Burgundy coming back down later on in the war and still fighting. And I also wasn't paying attention to Africa.
Right?
So England got their troops back and got them into mainland France. So at that point, yeah, it was pretty much over. I couldn't really ally Portugal at all. They kept breaking treaties and the peace deal, so England could keep going in on Portugal. So yeah, at that point I was just swapped off over the Pole, and I would have played Castile, but you know, I think there's like 7 missing players for that session, so I think the best call
was better to just swap you. Lewis, in the Wednesday game, keeping up the trend of playing in the HRE, you're playing Prussia. How do you think your influence build has worked out for you in the HRE?
It's good.
You didn't do that on Hess. So what's the difference here between your Hess and Prussia opener?
Because I went the wrong ideas on Hess.
so it's just that misread that. Would you have taken influence on Hess if you could have?
Yes, it's actually better on Hess because you get paid more from vassals when you don't have Prussian government. So as Prussia, you should march it, not make it a vassal.
Alright, and what do you think about the HRE balance now that you've played inside the HRE enough times?
I mean, it's pretty easy because a lot of people are dumb in it. And, like, they don't know when to stop helping the Emperor.
Yeah. So would you say you stopped helping the Emperor the moment that final reform is clicked, or even before that?
Like, I didn't go out of my way to help him once we had most of the reforms, because there's no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to maintain the reform growth would be the reason, but you felt you were comfortable enough you were going to get that final reform?
Like, when you're already at 30, you're pretty much going to get it.
Alright.
You're not going to go negative at that point, unless, like, half the land got eaten.
That's fair. That's fair. And I guess I wanted to ask you guys about not the most recent Wednesday game, but the Sunday game. We had some interesting plays from Africans against colonizers. Xaime, you've played Castile a couple times, so maybe you could comment a little more on that. But we had Songhai and Nosy being for the Morocco gold mine and like hard contesting Castile early. What do you think of that play and Tunis working with that Songhai to counter the colonizers?
I remember reading an interesting discussion of it in Balance Chat, and I guess my opinion on it is that's, yeah, good play. Africans early on are very good infantry compared to... So there's no reason not to just really run it down into Castile and try and get some gain out of that. Because Castile later on is just going to declare on you as soon as they scale and obviously set up their colonies. So I think Dog, as Songhai, has done a very reasonable play, just trying to contest NATO as soon as possible.
For sure, for sure. And then also in the Sunday game, we had some interesting plays in Eastern Europe that maybe you could comment on. We had Poland coming down and basically saving the Ottomans early. So you said that Poland has a little more strength early game with the changes. Do you think that enables them to make this kind of play, saving the Ottomans, or do you think they should more sit in dev? What do you think the play is here for Poland in the new patch?
Honestly, just sit in dev. There's no reason to make it.
Yeah. I mean, he did keep Ottomans alive by marching about, I think, 28k down into Anatolia and fighting the Mamluks. Do you think that was the right or wrong play? I mean, he got the Hungarian gold mine out of it.
It was the wrong play.
Why do you think?
I was in the HRE's chat, and then the second they saw him helping Ottomans, Fish like went to coalition him after that.
Oh, so you'd say that directly led to that little bit of a partitioning that Poland is now experiencing?
Yep.
So does Poland have a position to make a play south, or does that just immediately open them up to the HRE?
Unless Hungary's like completely dead, you shouldn't.
Ah, okay. And since this Hungary was still kind of fighting and kicking around.
Anyone can ally him and join.
For sure.
That's what I did to Poland in our game Sunday.
So moving back to the Wednesday game, Lewis, looking at your Prussia, you keep complaining about lack of trade node, but you finally got the Baltic node. Do you think that's enough for Prussia to secure this kind of Baltic land?
Not. It is if you're small, but now that I have this much dev, it's not really enough.
Yeah, because you're no longer getting the militarization ticks, right? So you don't get the land maintenance modifier. So you actually do need an income now.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think the play is for Prussia? Do they need to take Scandinavia? Do they need to push south? What do you think the play is for a Prussia to get more income like this?
I think if you are like around 500 dev, you can rely on just one trade node.
Yeah.
Like Baltic or all of Saxony or all Lubeck. That's enough if you're like 500 dev.
Right. It looks like you're collecting about 18 ducats in Saxony. So if you were like a 500 dev nation, your army maintenance is only about 30. You could probably.
Yeah, that would
do
be
okay
fine.
with Saxony.
Or Lubeck too. If you had all of Lubeck, it would be good.
Right. Although we see a lot of Britons going for that Lubeck play, so I don't know how likely it is for you to secure all that Lubeck trade.
I think you can work with Britain and get him to subsidize you a bit if you help him with Denmark.
Sort of be the replacement Sweden.
Yep.
Gotcha,
That's like one option. But if you can't work with Britain, you shouldn't go for Lubeck.
And Lewis, since you were pretty close to the action here, could you talk a little bit about the death of Austria in the most recent Wednesday session? Because it happened like very suddenly, like in the span of maybe an hour, like all of Austria was just gone. So
Yeah.
what happened there?
I think because he wasn't playing next week, he just kind of wanted to like get into people, and he got mad at me because I didn't help him, so he tried to int into me.
In
Then
what way? What was that play there?
He took 40k in loans and attacked me, but then he saw, after I didn't help him in his Hungary war, then when he saw Hungary attack Rum, he white beast me to attack Hungary because he thought they were actually fighting, but they weren't. And then he just truce broke Hungary and died pretty much.
Yep, they just lost the chain 100%.
Because Rum was still defending him.
Gotcha. What do you think Rum's angle is on that coming up into Austria?
I think
Just securing a win
that
condition, or?
he just makes sure that he doesn't have to worry about Europe anymore.
Yeah, because now he has that Hungary, well, soon to be Austria-Hungary buffer state. So.
Yeah, and Hungary's too weak to do anything to him. So he can just attack Mughals.
Do you think he's going to go into Mughals next session? This Mughals has like pretty much all of India to eat right now.
Yeah, he'll either go into Mughals or Butua.
And talking about this Butua, it's been kind of an interesting African tag team, where Congo's gone the colonial play and Butua's gone the traditional like Portuguese Indonesia kind of play. Do you think that has the ability to scale? I guess Xaime, you could comment on this a little more. Have you ever played down in Africa, or?
God, no. It's too cursed for me.
Too cursed?
The second a colonizer would show up, he could just kill Butua. He would just blockade his entire coast and siege Madagascar. Butua would explode.
I mean, we've seen that, but also we've seen that Butua and Congo have won a couple wars now against Britain in the Wednesday game, just because Britain's been too distracted either with fighting Denmark or fighting the colonies or etc.
But he just hasn't really scaled yet because he's been in too many early wars with Denmark. In like 20 or 30 years, he'll just kill them.
It seems to be a common theme that you don't want to get tied down in these early wars.
I don't think it's worth going to Denmark as England.
Oh, that's a counter opinion. Why don't you explain that a little more? Because it's been sort of the consensus meta that Britain takes this, at least Shealand or the state of Shealand, very early.
I think it just takes too many resources early, and you don't get that much out of it.
I mean, you're getting something like 30% control in Lubeck.
Right now they're pushing like 6, but then Burgundy takes half of that, so they're getting like 3 ducats in trade out of it.
Well, they're pushing 6, and his trade efficiency is about 1.5 times, right? So he's getting about 9 ducats. So yeah, he's getting 4.5 ducats of trade from Shealand.
I just think for like how long it takes to beat Denmark, it's not really worth it. You can do other things in that time and get like 3 ducats out of it.
Yeah, maybe if you can do it very quickly and without like much pain, because the Austria coming up and building galleys and committing its entire army to defending Denmark was definitely costly.
I think
for Britain.
Most Austrias won't do that though.
Yeah, I think if Sweden will help you, it's worth doing, because most Austrias aren't going to defend it.
Yes, that's for sure. Xaime, do you have any interest playing in the HRE, or is that also too cursed for you, like the Africa slotting?
It's not really too cursed. I just don't think I'm ever going to be placed there, unfortunately.
Would you want to play like an Austria or a Prussia?
I don't think I'd want to play Austria.
It
That's
seems like a
little
lot
too
of dip
cursed.
low.
But Brandenburg or Hesse, I really like what Hanover's actually done in the Wednesday game. I think that's really interesting going Cav.
Yeah, so they opened. I remember the player was actually PMing me about this. He opened Aristo Economic Espionage. I would have taken Humanist instead, but I mean, Economic does the same thing for the dev cost reduction. And then he's taking Quality. So he's got the Army Tradition build, and then also he's got like a Cav build, but with Western pips. So it's a very interesting take on the normal HRE stance of just like stack infantry combat and dev cost. Do you think that has scaling potential? Because normally we'd say like a Cav nation kind of falls off towards the late game.
In the mod, I don't think that's very true. Especially Western Cav, I think, generally gets quite good. Like,
It's not that they fall off in damage, it's just as your force limit gets higher and higher, it's harder to afford them. Also, you can't go mercenary cav.
That's true. Like,
So-
I mean, you
so you
can go
need-
mercenary Cav. It just costs like the same as a
Yeah,
cannon.
you kind of just need enough manpower and enough money to pull it off. It's not really that it gets weak, it's just harder to maintain.
Yeah, so it looks like he is reinforcing a little bit, but he can barely afford his army. He makes like a positive of like 5 ducats when paying his troops.
Yeah, if he gets in battles, he'll start losing money, so
Right, so if you bank enough before the war, you can fight wars, but it's just a very expensive build. Do you
but it
think
just
it's-
means
do you
you're
think
not
it's
gonna
worth the
get
cost?
buildings.
I mean,
No,
you're
no.
playing right next to him. Do you think it's been worth the cost?
Not really.
Why not?
I don't think so. Because
It's just too expensive.
you think he could have beaten Burgundy without Cav? And then he would have just had more money.
Just more like a normal quality Inno build, or
Yeah. Like Hess's troops, they also get infantry cost, so if you stay Hess, you're gonna save way more money in the long term.
I mean, looking at Hanover's ideas, they do get land maintenance modifier 10%, and that helps with the Cav cost as well. I mean,
Yeah, but like land maintenance is a lot worse than regiment cost.
I guess Xaime, you
infantry
could talk a
cost.
little bit about like the cost of things, because you're going a Cav build on Russia, right? In the Sunday game.
yeah, I'm doing the build that Rope has done in the Wednesday game.
Is that
Which-
the humanist one, the humanist Aristo
That's
Espio?
aristocratic humanist espionage, so yeah, just a standard kind of Cav open.
Yeah, so it's just
Um,
relying on sort of like manpower dev and then stacking that Cav cost.
Yeah, for the
and
most part,
quality.
it's like for a nation like Russia, I don't think it's too bad to really do, because late and mid game you're gonna have a lot of money when you start. The main thing that appealed to me was the advisor cost that you get from doing that build.
Right, you get 30% right off the bat, right?
Oh yeah, then it's like after I get Russian ideas and finish it's, you know, I can run level 5 advisors for like 5 ducats. It's, I think, very much broken. I think that should probably be changed in the future, because I think being able to stack it that much is really bad.
Maybe cut
the
10
game.
or 10 or 15% off the total.
You mean the
yeah,
mill
I'd say that's
advisor?
reasonable.
Mill advisor cost?
I mean, you get the mill advisor cost in Aristo, you get the 15% espionage, and you get the 15% in
Yeah.
humanist.
There's too much of it.
I mean, I could also take admin, get another minus 20% as well.
Right, and then you're basically just getting free advisors.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of mana generation, especially with the upped mana cap, and then you can kind of just sit there and dev, right? Especially with all the grassland that Russia starts with.
Well, yeah, now that I've got Lithuania, all that low dev grasslands should go quite well next session, as long as I don't get.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta integrate the vassals, and as long as you don't get inted by someone random. But I'm not really seeing any potential threats here, because Uzbek kind of killed itself. and Ottomans isn't going to come up, and Poland is kind of getting whacked. You're working with Sweden, right?
Yeah, well, at least for now, working with Sweden, as long as he doesn't annoy me or anything, should be...
Well, I don't need you to leak any Diplo, but it looks like a pretty secure position. I don't mean to take any more of you guys' time, so if we have any closing thoughts for the Sunday game, do you guys have any thoughts about Europe in general, or the map in general? Interesting points in the game? Alright, and
no,
looking at the Wednesday game...
I was gonna say is, just... I think it's going to be a pretty balanced game, especially with the Ottomans actually being this far behind. Because I think the Ottomans, only 70 income. Usually when you see Ottomans for this land, it's about 100, 110 income. So I think it should be interesting, but can't really comment all that much until probably after session 2 and see what happens. But definitely looks like I'm going to get a free game, but we'll see. Don't want to jinx it too much.
Yeah, I mean, whenever someone says they have a free game, it always comes back and bites them with the end.
I said that as Castile after that really good opener, that if I don't get into session 2, there's going to be a free game, and I died, so...
Yep. So, I mean, sometimes I think that nations in the Levant, like the Mamluks or Ottomans, winning too hard really destabilizes the game. Because you have like the snowball effect of the interesting mission trees and just the intensely like high dev culture group. So like when they win too hard, they snowball. Sort of like the rum in the Wednesday game, right?
Rum is very, very strong and will probably win the game if you ask me. There's a lot of options now to definitely go for.
Right. He has the Janissary stacking for quality. He has just like an insane economic base. Lots of options to move for. It's that sort of win more mentality, right? So a nation that's already winning geographically gets to like a very strong government set and idea set. So it's a pretty good combination. But
I would like to see some changes in this region. Definitely so if Mamluks win or if the Ottomans win, definitely to slow down that snow. Because if they get a very good opener, then from there they generally just win the game. Because they just snowball insanely quickly compared to any other nation on the map.
For sure. And wrapping up our thoughts on the Wednesday game, is there any thoughts you guys had to sort of conclude that one?
Fucking cursed.
Were we talking about the rum in it?
Yeah.
I think Russia's stronger than rum.
You think so? I mean, looking at the military, it looks like rum has a larger force limit, and...
You went quantity, though. Russia doesn't have quantity.
That's true. But Russia does have about 50 ducats less income. And that does quite the gap.
He is humanist aristo and espionage. So he's just gonna dev manpower and scale better.
Wait, Russia already has more manpower without quantity.
Without quantity. He's just so I think
like
he's
one
better.
Has more it has less manpower with quantity, and it gets 65% force limit from its finisher and quantity, and it's still like roughly even with Russia. So it looks like Russia's doing a very good job in building up their country in this game.
I think Russia will scale better than rum with its ideas. And it has better pip.
Not even that 15% construction cost on rum?
It comes down to like advisor cost and manpower. More so than that.
They get the yearly army trad and advisor cost on Russia.
It also depends on the plays made. If Rum is able to just get all Persia and somehow get into India, then I think Rum wins at that. But if Russia makes plays to stop that, then
it looks like Russia went for
Russia
Samarkand.
could outscale.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like Russia went for Samarkand, so they might be doing something.
Russia also has better pips than Rum.
Yeah, Muslim pips. Or no,
Eastern units. Eastern units are besting in the game. I don't know which pips Rum has.
Rum has... Looks like Muslim pips. Yeah, it looks like Muslim pips, which are not very good. So we'll have to see. It looks like they're pretty evenly matched right now, but one might scale harder than the other just depending on what kind of plays they make. So we'll see. I appreciate you guys coming on today to talk on the podcast, and we'll be back next week with another one. Thank you guys so much.
See you.